Wait, I'm doing another podcast? My name is Jason. I'm the last manager of the last video store in the universe. This is my main show. I've been doing it since roughly 2015 with some starts and stops along the way. And its current iteration has been around more or less since about 2019, 2020 in its current form. Normally I rank movies. We have 4 series per year. Quarterly series essentially that make up our seasons. Our seasons are a year. So this is year 7. And then we are getting ready to go into series 7.3, which is going to be the spooky season series. And we cover the full spectrum of films. We really try to give you a sense of what it feels like, as best as you can in an audio format, to be in a video store, right? We operate a video store here in the beautiful, sunny, tropical Akron, Ohio. Speaking of video store, that snoring you hear behind me is Iggy, the home video pooch, who is currently experiencing some medical issues. That's not what the snoring is. That she's just crossbred with a feral hog, I think. But she's got some infection. And so don't go to puppy mills, folks. Do not go to puppy mills. She was a dog that was bred, and that's where I rescued her from. I rescued her from a puppy mill situation. She was the mama and had a very, very difficult pregnancy back in May and lost the litter, and they had no use for her. They didn't want her anymore, and she's now paying the price, and so am I. So become a patron. Patreon.com/binge movies. All that money goes to the show, but if you want to give me some extra money to help pay for this dog's pills, that'd be wonderful. But in all seriousness, what we try to do here at Binge Movies is give you, and this is fully extended over into Patreon, which is still evolving and developing, and I've got some reformatting I want to do over there, but one thing at a time, is to try to give you the experience of what it's like to be a part of the local mom and pop video store culture. You cannot very likely come here to Akron, Ohio and spend time with us here. So I want to bring that sense to you. And if you are out there and you remember and you live the home video experience, then you know what that was like. You know that there were a lot of local denizens and people who haunted those places who were a little out there, a little weird, a little strange, and they were always throwing recommendations out to you. And sometimes it was from the most obscure shit imaginable. But then you maybe listen to them, right? And you take that tape or that DVD or Blu-ray or Betamax, however old you are, you take it home and you'd find something that you never would have imagined you would have enjoyed. And a video store had everything, right? It wasn't just, especially the mom and pops, it wasn't just the latest and greatest wall of Titanic. They had Westerns, they had stuff from the golden age of cinema, the golden age of Hollywood. They had tons of slashers and action films and straight-to-video movies and international titles and foreign titles and classic art house cinema. They had everything. And we've got everything here, so I'm trying to bring that to our audience. So I have from the horror section, where I over on patreon.com/binge movies, where I do, Lord willing, it's sort of alternating right now between action and horror, but at least a monthly written review, a feature written review of some sort of a action movie. The next one up, the first one was Righting Wrongs, aka Above the Law. Next one's going to be Yes, Madame. And there's patron polls. I alternate that between those reviews, action and horror. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted by this story. The horror aspect of it, I'm going through a bunch of different horror movies. One of the things I'm doing is the video nasties, the movies that were prosecuted in the UK under the video nasties, the colloquial term video nasties, and or that were banned. Some of them were banned in the UK up until like a decade ago or 2 decades ago. So interrogate that idea. Should this, I don't really believe in censorship, but is there any artistic merit to some of these movies that have been banned? A couple of them, the answer is no. But we're covering things over there like Anthropophagus and Beyond the Door and The Beast and Heat, and all these exploitation films. And yeah, I'm really enjoying that. It's a lot of hard work. I also do audio essays where I break down movies. I'm going to put one out next week for you from the Patreon so that you can experience it. It is the one I did last summer, for the film Poltergeist. It's an audio essay connecting Poltergeist. I tried to analyze the movie and also connect it to some bigger meta analysis, meta cultural analysis sort of stuff. So if you like that, and they're short, right? They're not 4 hours like our episodes. I think that one's maybe about 20 minutes. And so they're short. If you want kind of well thought out pieces, I put one out not that long ago about Albert Pune. That one's a little bit more weird and creative and funky, kind of like his movies. And that was on purpose. It was semi kind of to try and emulate what an Albert Pune movie is like, although he's made a bunch. And I've got a second one in the works. It's just very hard because he made as many movies in the early 90s, like within like 1991, as he did throughout the entire 80s. He did about 5 to 7 movies throughout the entire 80s, and he was doing about 3 to 5 movies a year throughout the 90s. So just figuring out how to logistically break it up has been probably the most difficult thing, and finding aspects. I like to try to tie those to bigger thoughts. So those come more sporadically. I need a little bit of inspiration, to be able to get those out there for you. Because there's a lot more time and thought that goes into that. Speaking of time and thought, the main purpose of our gathering here today is to discuss something I'm really excited about. Over 2 years ago now, I approached Paul from the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews podcast, which is now just the Countdown podcast. They still do movie and TV reviews, but now they're just counting down stuff in order of awesomeness. Go check them out if you haven't already. And I approached him with an idea. It was originally, I'm going to be honest with you, transparent. It was originally an idea that I had for this show. I really wanted to do like the slashers, but I wanted to do them by year. And so I was diddling around and doing some artwork, graphic design stuff, and writing some notes and trying to come up with a concept. And then I realized this is a strong enough idea that could really be its own show. And Paul and I, 2 or 3 years previous to 2 years ago, so about 5 years ago, actually recorded a pilot. I don't know how much Paul cares about this, but recorded a pilot of a spinoff show. He would continue doing the Countdown. I would continue doing binge movies, but we were going to do our own show together. And we recorded it, we planned it out, we got together, we had meetings about it. We did, I think, an episode or 2 of it, and then just life got in the way. We're both pretty packed to the gills, but some of the concepts in that show that no one's ever heard have made its way into this show. And so Paul and I have been working behind the scenes. I've spent the better part of those 2 years collating a list of, last I counted, was over 700 movies that could be considered slashers, going back to the silent era, worldwide, globally. And we decided, well, that's pretty broad. We should probably, Paul was like, man, you should probably narrow the focus. And I mapped out, I don't know, 10 years worth of episodes, I think. I mean, it was a lot. And then I was like, yeah, that's too much. It would sincerely be a full-time job. We could probably put out an episode a day. And so we worked on it together, and we narrowed it down, and we said, okay, we're going to cover the golden age of slasher film. And the way that we're going to do that is that we're going to, and by the way, we both read and went through and did, there's a bunch of scholarly work that's been done about it, and a bunch of non-scholarly work that's been done about slashers. And so just about every major book on slashers Paul and I have, and we've been researching before we recorded the thing, before we even did that. We spent, again, the better part of 2 years just studying the genre. And then I watched as many global horror movies as I possibly could in preparation for this, to really kind of, no pun intended, bone up, so that I could have some credibility in speaking the subject. Not that, I was familiar with it, but it's different when you're going to produce something. And so we're going to go year by year through the golden age of slashers, the slasher boom. So we're talking post-Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, stay tuned for that on this feed. Post Halloween, and we're starting with the year 1980, post Black Christmas, 1980 to 1984. And we're covering, I think, just shy of 40 films in this first limited series. If this limited series is successful enough, which means we need like about 100 reviews on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And the ratings have got to be there because this is very cumbersome, very involved. We've loved doing it, enjoyed doing it. I've loved the entire process, but we've put a lot of work into it. And it just has to be something that we have to have a return on it. I'm just going to be honest with you to continue it. So if it's a project that really takes off, and we would love to hear from you, because the other thing that we're doing is we're going year by year, but we're not just covering the classic stuff that everybody knows. We're not covering those AAA slasher titles, if such a thing exists, that everybody knows for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons is we've been doing that, Paul and I, for about 4 years now on this feed. We've talked about so many horror movies on this feed for Binge Movies. It just didn't make any sense to go back and talk about some of those things again. So if you want us to hear us talk about the Friday the 13th sequels, or the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels, or the Halloween entire series, you can find that right here. Just go through the archives. It's there. We've been doing it for the last 4 years. And this upcoming season, or upcoming series, I should say, at Binge Movies, the spooky season series, 7.3, the cat's out of the bag. We're doing all 11 Hellraiser movies. Okay, so that's going to be coming in October, right around Halloween. So we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to be redundant. And we wanted to capture what slashers really were during their golden era, which is we're covering everything from the classic films you know, to movies that played in rural North Carolina for the drive-in scene that hundreds of thousands of people maybe have seen, and that's about it. I mean, we're covering a wide swath of stuff. We're covering every grade Z, sleazo, sicko slasher that stars some kind of PTSD, Vietnam veteran who's going to strangle you with pantyhose, and cut you with a stiletto. We're covering some Italian stuff. Just Fulci makes an appearance. Yeah, there's a lot. Toby Hooper makes an appearance. Wes Craven obviously is going to make an appearance. Yeah, so a Voorhees or two is going to make an appearance, but we're going to go well beyond that as well. We're going to go well beyond that. A Joe Spinell or two might make an appearance. So we're going into the underground of the slasher genre, as well as those the studio titles. William Shatner might make an appearance. Yes, William Shatner. So that's pretty exciting stuff. It will be in its own feed, which I will eventually link in the show notes to an episode here. So be on the lookout for that. And we're going to launch at some point in September. And so in the lead up to this Halloween season. So it'll be Paul and myself, and we're very excited about it. And there's more information, maybe a twist or two to come along the way. In the meantime, thank you for supporting this show. This show is not going away. Binge Movies will continue. We've got a brand new season. It's coming in short order at the end of VHS Summer. I have a summer movie road trip movie marathon, 4 days worth of road trip from hell movies that I'm covering. And here's the thing with Lindsay Washburn, who is absolutely great. And Lindsay and I have some stuff in the works conversationally for 2024 and 2025. So we'll see that some of that stuff comes to fruition. We got a lot of ambitious ideas. And this dog. And one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to drop those episodes 4 days in a row. So it's not going to be the next 4 Tuesdays. It's going to be, road trip style. So you're going to have in 1 week 4 episodes. The first one will drop on Tuesday. I'm thinking probably in 3 to 4 weeks you'll see that drop. And so you'll get, we're calling it Highway to Hell with Jason and Lindsay. And so you'll have those movies You'll have a week basically of Binge Movies episodes, and those are roughly about an hour to an hour and a half. That's pretty exciting, and that'll lead us into the next season and the start of the slashers. So stay tuned. Got some other stuff planned over at Patreon. We're going to be doing, to become an assistant manager above. We've got video reviews and watch-alongs that we're doing with films. The next film up, as voted by our patrons, is going to be Nighthawk. So assistant managers and elite patrons. That's going to be coming at some point by the end of this year. I'm going to do that. Just scheduling wise, trying to herd cats is what I'm trying to do. So what I want to do now is I want to say, hey, follow us on social media on X, aka Twitter, at Binge Movies. Follow us on Instagram at Binge Movies Lives. Follow us on Letterboxd at Binge Movies. I've got more instant reactions on the way as well. So stay tuned here, subscribe here, listen to the show here. I've got some. There might be another camp movie appearance before this VHS summer is over. So that's pretty exciting. We still got a lot of VHS summer left. So the road trip, maybe another camp movie, got some other stuff in the works. Pretty excited about it. I'll get you all the details in the new show as we get a little bit closer. But until then, I want to leave you with this little tease for that show. I promise you, she does not need humans have CPAPs. I think they need to have CPUPs, but I assure you she doesn't need it. I've had the vet check her face, and they're like, her nose holes are big enough, and we just don't know why she makes those noises. She's getting plenty of air. I'm like, well, she's a little pig. So here's the tease.
Run if you must. Hide if you can. Scream if you are able. But above all, if you are alone, don't let them catch you.
The Slashers.
Coming soon to a podcast app near you. Rated R.